Orange Gum here with Wendy T and Hope Skibitsky. And we were literally just talking about how I'm I'm like, what are we going to talk about? She's like, I don't know, let's talk about this. And I'm like, I don't know, let's talk about this. And she goes, you pick. And I said, no, I picked the last one. She said, no, I picked the last one. I'm like, oh, no, you did. And I did. And so I absolutely love that we banter, we have a good time. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And we were like, wait a minute, let's talk about no.
That's right. Stop, collaborate. No, it was different. Stop.
Stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. You want me to keep going? I'm really good.
Yeah, so we decided on stop, drop, and no,
Ooh,
because there's everybody has, I always hear this, like it's everybody has the same amount of time, so we can all fit in all these things, right? But we have talked about this before and how I think it's more about managing energy levels, right? Because as we have mentioned numerous times now, we are wildly different people.
very.
Where you don't miss a day of yoga, is that right?
No, like there are times when I'm on the road and I have, but it's not my preference.
Right, right. But you for no matter pretty much no matter what, you're getting up and you're going to get the yoga in, right?
5 minutes
Where
or 105, it's happening.
that's right. And so for me, I feel like I was going to get like that class in, right? Nobody goes through life and gets 8 degrees without making time for every single one of those classes. We talked about me needing extra help, right? So I I only know I have 8 because at one point in my life I needed a security clearance and I listed 7 degrees and that clearance came back delayed because you didn't
Missed
disclose
one.
all your degrees. And so I was like, what? And I go back and look. And so apparently I missed one.
Yeah, she's got all these degrees and pictures and piles, and Hope's got like I graduated 18 out of 36 in high school. Like, does that matter?
So boundaries, we wanted to talk about boundaries for a healthier life. And there's lots of areas like that fits in, whether it's your finances or your food or your fitness, all the things, right? Even your friendships. So
That's
all the
right.
F's.
How do you know, though? How do you know? How do you know when you actually say no and when you acquiesce? What if it's so important to the other person that they need you for a thing, but that's a time when you just can't afford it. You need to say no. Like, when do
Mhm.
you flex and when do you stand hard and fast?
Right. So it was a really clever title with the stop, drop, and no. But I did hear this one time with the saying yes, actually, yes, I can at this time, right? So like, yes, I can in October. And so I thought that was a great way to fit in. And so like kind of coming back to that energy management. And so, how do I manage my energy level? And so when I talk about fitness was a really hard one for me. I didn't really find the thing that I enjoyed doing. And so it was always last on my priority list. And so friendship is high on my priority list. So man, I will run myself into the ground with a smile on my face the entire way to show up for a person. But drag myself out of the bed to do a 5 minute, any kind of fitness, something related was really taking a lot of energy. So
Yes.
that's what I mean by, and so like getting to the saying no to set those boundaries is finding a way to say yes to something and fitting it in. And so, for you, I know like taking a class was like lifting your eyelids with toothpicks.
Oh, golly, school was always, well, I think I was just intimidated by school because, growing up, if you're trying to figure out where your next meal is coming from, where you're laying your head at night, like your first focus isn't education. And so I got to where it was just so intimidating because when you miss so much, it is hard. And so then you just build it in your brain that it's all hard and that it's always hard. And so then every time you would see it, it would like bring on the angst of this is hard. I find it hard, but it's only hard because I tell myself it's hard.
It's funny you say that because I felt the same way largely about fitness. And so Amber and I were talking about this the other day because she was like, you've just been so consistent.
Mm.
And I said, I think one of the ways that I got there was because those early workouts were literally like 5 minutes of something and, a 10-minute workout, 5 minutes of cardio and a 10-minute workout. So I really eased into it. Right. And so I'm very consistent now. Like you said, 5 minutes or 105 minutes. I do movement every single day now. every single day. But
And
I
I'm
found
so
something
proud of you.
but I did find the thing that I enjoy doing. And so when we talk about, that work-life harmony, finding things that I enjoy was really important. And so setting that boundary of, I make time for this because I enjoy it was important. I don't care if peas was the magic potion to make my skin look like the fountain of youth. It's never gonna happen. Like never
Sister,
gonna happen.
I know that anybody that knows and loves me knows I am completely plant-based. I don't eat any animal or animal byproducts. And so um I say it all the time, peas are the absolute worst food on the planet. Like if I went down in an airplane and I was the sole survivor and the only thing to keep me alive was like a bucket of peas or your dead corpse, like I'm gonna eat you because no way am I eating peas.
Drive you to leave your plant-based lifestyle.
Yeah, yuck,
Handle it.
yuck.
Yeah.
And Justin gets so mad about it because he loves peas. So like anytime I'm on a work trip or whatever, like he's like, "Oh, guess what I had today?" Because he will enjoy and revel in it because he loves them. And
Good for him.
but he's so good. He's our primary cook, and he makes sure that we never have to suffer through peas when I'm home.
He is a good cook.
Oh,
Yes.
he's good. So there are times when you draw the line and you say no, but like I said, I feel like sometimes I still violate my own no because I want so badly to help somebody else, or I want so badly to be valued, or I want so badly to be appreciated that I will cross even my own invisible boundaries because I think I can I can catch up on that later, or I can whatever. And so I think that we have to figure out how to, or you said it on the last episode that if I only talk to myself the way I would talk to somebody else, how much better I would treat me. And so if I were to tell myself to stick by my no, the same way that I would invite someone else to do that, like the better off I'd be.
Right. And so I think there's a couple things, right? Right now there's a commanding officer of a Navy ship out in the Middle East right now, and he's been posting these things on X, used to be Twitter,
Yeah.
with cookies out on the captain's bridge, right? And so it's just this really interesting story. I don't know if have you heard of
I
this?
have seen it. I saw a really young, like, I don't know what his rank was, but an E3 with this gigantic cookie sitting in the captain's chair.
Right. So like, I mean, he was a Top Gun instructor. He's like done all these like really hard things, right? So his point was, I need people on this ship to feel valued and cared about. And I mean, I do care about them, but I don't really know them, like, but they have loved ones, they have parents, they have people at home that care about them. And so, he's created this community, like this global community of people who like will say like, that's my person. And so,
Mhm.
he's kind of like, so he'll call random people up to the bridge and share a cookie, right? They get to be up there to take a picture. And so then it kind of like creates this like community of people caring about them, and they get to rally around that, right? And it's just small things. And he was like, leadership, absolutely, it makes we are responsible for that culture.
That's
And
right.
the dividends that pays is remarkable, right? He was like, uh you can't cheat those results. And so anyhow, he's been doing this kind of thing, and he talks about his point being that you have to take care of yourself. And so we hear it all the time about you can't pour out of an empty cup and all these kind of things, right? And so, you know, that self-care routine is really important to help take care of other people. So if it's like for me, friendship's really valuable to me and I like to make time for other people. The thing that at this point now, because movement is literally every day. I get the like little blue dot on my calendar every single day. I haven't missed, couldn't tell you the last time I missed some kind of movement. The thing that I will lose out on is sleep
Mm-hmm.
every day of the week, right? And so it's an area that I work on. So all of these topics are always like work in progress, right?
Yeah.
But
Man, I get it wrong.
yes, and so for me, that area of self-care that I routinely need to have the biggest needs improvement area is sleep. And so where do you draw that? It's just that continual reminder that if it's important to me to contribute, I contribute better. I think through things better when I am fully charged.
Yeah. I mean,
And
sleep
so,
deprivation, though, that's a lot like being drunk or, other
yes,
things like that. You'll make poor decisions.
mhm.
And girl, you do not sleep.
I know it's really, I mean, people ask me all the time, like, how do you still seem so alert? And I don't drink coffee. And and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But there's huge costs involved. And I've read too many books to not believe the actual science. So it is definitely an area that I am a work in progress on.
Yeah. Me too. I have never been a really good sleeper. My husband calls me the princess and the pea because
Mhm.
the bed has to be just the right amount of comfortable. I have been on the world search for the best pillow. I probably own thousands of dollars of pillows. That's the worst experience ever. It's got to be pitch black. It's got to be noiseless. And I mean, all these things. And then, even if all the conditions are perfect, my brain is just like, oh, it's time to think about.
Mhm.
And so I struggle with sleep too. I mean, I love whatever's happening with this camera because you can't see these like bags that have decided to look like I'm moving to Bali, um,
Right.
with a whole trunk full of luggage here. In any event, I know how important sleep is. And so, at some point I think we should talk a little bit about like that like mental health thing that everybody has I feel gotten better about at least talking about.
Mhm.
But anyways, in this context, I have found myself doing the same thing where I said, no, I'm going to make sure that I get in bed on time. And no, I'm going to make sure that I get my workout in. Oftentimes it's easy to say, oh, but this person called or that thing is so emergent. Justin, not my, and y'all, Justin is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And he's always right. Just ask him. In any event, he does a good job, of course, correcting me. If I'm like, he's like, weren't you going to go get your yoga right now? And I'm like, yeah, he's like, so that can't wait. And I'm like, ugh, don't be snarky. Right. He's like, there is no Hope Skibitsky emergency. Like, you've got to take the time for you. Because if you don't take care of you, no one else is gonna.
It's true. It's true. And so, we talk through, like I said, everybody talks about time management. And I also like to talk about that energy management. And so I recognized it a long time ago where it was actually because of you, because I realized like, man, she always gets in her yoga, but I realized how much lift was involved for you to finish a class, mostly because some of the classes, those required classes were just not interesting to you.
At all.
That like those core classes were just not interesting because you do quite a bit of learning on things that are very interesting to you. And for me, man, I could stay up all night reading through pages and pages, pages of things that I found interesting. But that minimal amount of time to do some kind of workout was like a huge lift for me. And so then I kind of just realized that, I have lots of friends who do all kinds of things. So like, it doesn't take that long to do a workout, but the amount of energy required for me to like do that seemed exhausting.
Yep.
And so like, not only is it like a time management, but it's an energy management thing. And so like to try and get that in where my energy level is enough for me to do it and then make it easy enough for me to do until I will consistently do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, that hard one was the fitness
Well,
at the
and I
time.
mean, to continue on your thought, like you're that person that you would tell me all about how you read like 8,000 pages of 7 font stereo instructions in Japanese. And I'm like, what? But you would like pay for Uber Eats to bring you a hard boiled egg from the Wawa that's 18 feet from your front door. And so instead of like getting the steps in to say you burned a few calories and go do the thing, you were like, oh, but I was reading. And I'm
Right.
like, honey, what are you doing? And so I love how hard you are working to take care of you. I love how you have not just drawn that line in the sand and said, I'm going to do the thing. Like you have gone out there and like with a jackhammer, like just put it in the ground that is exactly where you're going to live is in taking care of you. Like,
Mhm.
good job.
work in progress, right? And so I found a thing I love. So my thing that I love is the row machine. I love it. I do it pretty much every single day. And so I just, that's my thing. Like one thing that I do. I do some strength training too. So that's for the fitness, right? The other areas of some kind of balance in my life is like getting my financial shit together. Right. I mean, honestly, I just, like all of the life hurdles that I've had were those are like hard things. I didn't even have a TSP, the kind of like a retirement fund until you made me,
Uh,
right?
that's right. That's right.
So, again, like good friendships kind of talk through like that kind of stuff, like have boundaries on things.
Yeah,
And
I want to talk about that too. We'll explore that. Golly, like this thing could spider web. Um, but in the initial like conversation of it, if we go back to, your friends are going to be the ones that challenge you, your friends are going to be the ones that give you the hard feedback. I vividly remember feeling like I'm so far in. I mean, again, when you're that senior airman who's $70,000 in debt and you have a vehicle you can't own, and I'm talking about me, like you can't afford your payments, but you got into it, so you've got to. um
Mhm.
how do you get out of that? And then when you get out of that, where do you start saving and how do you start saving? And I mean, I struggled figuring that out, but once I figured out the importance of, if I don't invest in me, what's going to happen? And I recall you and I having this conversation. I think I was in the senior NCO Academy. So that was like I was already like on the cusp of old. We were
Yeah, I
there.
mean, it's late in my career because a couple of resets in my life. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Cause
like I still am. Work in progress, always. But the
always.
boundary setting for like taking pause and reflecting on, is this adding value to my life and how do I fit it in? So, we kind of talk about there is no such thing as work-life balance.
Mm-mm.
And
Yeah.
so what does that mean?
Yeah. And when you say boundary setting, like how do you know if that is where a boundary should be? And so like, does it add to your life, or and even if it's hard or it causes additional work, is it adding to your life? If all it is a detractor or a distractor, or it hurts because it's not filling your heart, it probably isn't worth keeping. And so that needs, and it doesn't matter if somebody else wants you to do it or if somebody else thinks it's good for you, like that needs to be a thing that you do some self discovery on.
So that it just made me think of something there when we talk about like the boundaries and adding value, right? You would ask a question I don't think I really fully circled back on, but how do you know, right? And so you often answer my calls. I mean, so Hope had a pretty important job in the military where she had people that managed calendars and did like a lot of different kinds of activities for her schedule. Those folks would push my calls through. They all knew who I was.
They would always say, I know you're really busy and you said not to disturb you, but Wendy's on the phone. I figured
So
you'd want to take this one.
So to this day, when I call, you know, you still often answer my calls no matter how much chaos is going on, right? And so if you're in the middle of something and the call goes to voicemail, I often get a text like I'm in that thing or I'm this or that or whatever. And so I work hard at like making sure there's a message that gets sent like I need nothing, right? Because this is a part of like the boundaries of I need you to know like that there wasn't an actual need here. This was, like Lulu looks cute today and I wanted to share a picture of her.
And I love those, but that it didn't matter if I had to, follow in the footsteps of someone not so admirable and throw on an adult diaper and drive all the way to Florida. I would do it if it meant you needed me there today. Like I'm on my way.
And so part of the boundaries is also like good communication, right? And
Mhm.
so, is this an actual need? And so, I think like part of this is good communication. So I called the other day because there were like what 10 or 11 turtles out my backyard and I just wanted to share the moment. But I immediately get a message back. I'm on the phone in a meeting right now. And so I'm like, oh, I didn't need anything at all. Just sharing the moment of a beautiful day outside.
Oh, but how exciting was it, y'all? She lives right on the water's edge, and there are like, I always forget, is it alligators or crocodiles? I don't know, like the big teethy
Gators,
things that like
gators.
spin and kill you. And they live in the water right out behind her house. And she's always like, look how beautiful it is. And all I ever imagine is like seeing this gigantic monster. Luckily, I've not gotten any of those messages.
No, no, no. I've heard about them, but I have not seen any. So I just see the birds and the turtles and all of the beautiful sunshine and skies.
Yeah. And you guys, I'm making myself sound like a scaredy cat, but Wendy has her weaknesses too. We'll get all into
Oh,
those.
we won't talk about those.
We're not even allowed to call them by
I
their
know
real
you
name.
were threatened twice with the web word already, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I know your weak spots. I got you. Like your kryptonite. I've got it hanging around my neck. Like I'll use it. Don't make me.
So boundaries and communication, right? So like when you were asking, my point would be that, good communication on like when it comes to friendships, is this an actual need, right? And so I will let you know when I actually need something. So then if I say I actually need it, then that's probably a time to drop things and
Yep.
show up for people,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. And so, for a lot of the things that I have learned to say no on because I am a people pleaser, I have learned a lot of that because I think you do a brilliant job of demonstrating what right looks like in saying no, in building those boundaries. I've heard you say that at least, 20,000 times in the time I've known and loved you but is that the thing? Or is this the hill that you die on? And so these are the kinds of things like decide where you say no, draw the line, and then stick with yourself in saying no, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Or like, I think kind of figure out can it be done later?
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that because I've had um, a lot of conversations with people about yes, but.
Mhm.
And I learned that I think, through the military, where they would always say, you can't tell your boss no, right? Unless they're doing something illegal or immoral. But otherwise, if they say, like, go, like the answer is yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I'm on my way. And I learned yes, but because they're like, I will say yes. There are other things that need attention and maybe need attention more now. So the but is if I do that instead of this, here's the ramification. Or if I spend the money on that instead of this, here's the things that don't get money right now. And so I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to add in there but here's what happens if I say yes. And I
Mhm.
like that you're saying not yes, but yes, when. So here's when I could offer that to you.
Right. I used to, this was quite some time ago, but I used to get asked by everybody to look at their writing samples.
Mm.
Everybody wanted me to look at some kind of report. And I would spend a lot of time on this. There was a time where I was pretty significantly busy with some things. And it was the first time that I had to tell somebody, you know, I won't be able to look at this for like another 3 weeks. And that was hard for me to
Yeah.
say, like, I just won't be able to look at this. And they were like, okay, great. So, I had to set the little reminder in to make sure I got it done. I would say that most people know this about me. I'm very responsive. So if you didn't hear back from me, that is an absolute oversight. So people will circle back because that's just not my trend pattern. So I've obviously missed that message.
Unlike me, who drops balls all the time.
But but people just didn't know that about me, and trend patterns matter, you know?
Sure.
So my friend Tammy and I were talking about this. She's a manager and she was working through something and with an employee. And I was explaining that to her with how I had an airman that was on my team who was like excellent on all of their fitness tests. And so, Baby K.
I do.
So he's an amazing human. And I gave her this example. Baby K could have twisted his ankle and had a fitness test due tomorrow. And I was like, then, he's going to go overdue. And I said,
Mhm.
unlike, somebody else who's constantly late on their fitness test, constantly on profiles, all these things, and that they may have legitimately twisted their ankle today. But unfortunately, their benefit of the doubt window is so small now. And so we need to live our lives in a way that the trend pattern sets the tone,
That's right. That's right.
so that
You,
benefit of the doubt window, like baby K, would be so large that I'm like, we will figure this out. We will write the exemption, we will write the exception to policy, we will do the waiver, we'll do the things as leaders that we need to do. We'll show up for people because that window is so big.
well, you earn your trust, you earn your treatment. And so if you are the person who is, consistently, I don't know, I'm going to make it up, late, or you're consistently behind, or you're consistently reliable, people will know you for that thing. And then when you need something, the consistency will come back to you. It will, I don't know if that equals karma. Does that equal karma? Or it's just an earned
That's right.
response.
And so people always want to be treated the same. And I don't know that's how we lead, because everything just isn't the same.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
that
very
could be a
much
whole nother
people and situationally dependent, for sure.
wait, whole nother topic for that.
That's right. Okay, so we have spent some time today digging into this, and we're going to carry on with other conversations going forward. Again, if you're with us on YouTube, like, subscribe. If you're with us on any other platform, make sure you add us, continue to follow us. And then if you just want to comment on this or send us a message, let us know. We would love to hear from you. We would also love to let you know that we care about you. You can always reach us at orangegumpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds like a plan.
Take care, y'all.